The runner-up in that election and the candidate of the main opposition People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has rejected the final result as announced by the returning officer and chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, calling it a throwback to the jackboot era of military dictatorship. Abubakar criticized what he called a sham election and, according to published reports, has put together a team for a legal challenge. Meanwhile, incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari is already making plans to move ahead with a program to kickstart national reconciliation. Now, this is the forum for this conversation about.
Yes.
I'm going to start with Yemi, the electoral observer, who got really up close and personal with the process. Do you believe, based on what you saw, that Atiku Abubakar is right in his choice to proceed with legal action, or should he do, as some are urging him, to just accept the results?
I definitely agree with him in going to court. And for me, it's simply because that if he doesn't... So PDP as a party... So, I mean, let me rephrase that. PDP as a party is the only party to this conversation that has as much data around what happened with elections than anybody else, barring APC, of course. Now, electoral observers, there's no organization, no observing organization that had an observer at 120,000 polling units, none. So even with the data that we have, so we had observers at every ward collation center, a little over 8,000. There are a few other organizations that had observers at polling units. We don't have the quantum of data that PDP would have. Therefore, for Alhaji Abubakar to go to court, it allows the world to see what they saw and present to the world. This is the evidence of why we think these elections were not fair. Now, the flip side of it, though, is in defending itself, APC will bring evidence of what PDP did wrong. So for our perspective, that helps the net beneficiary is Nigeria's electoral process. Because we're able to then see that, okay, APC did this, PDP did that. What does that say around the way we run elections, and what lessons can we learn? So I definitely agree with him going to court.
That's okay.
Well, you know, it's a very, very funny scenario because I wonder why, you know, even some statesmen lately called on him to give the Goodluck Jonathan's treatment. What Goodluck Jonathan did at that time, you know, I think was good for that time because the situation was very different from what we have now. Don't forget that this president himself, for 3 or 4 times that he tried to be president, he challenged the decisions up to the Supreme Court.
Yes, in 2003, 2007, and 2011.
That's right. So, you see, once you go that route, then that means you are acquiescing to the rule of law, and I think that is the right thing to do. Make sure there's no breakdown of law and order. Like Yemi just said, of course, the party, being the major player in the situation, has all that data that they will take out there. Like she also said, the APC will bring what they have, and everything will be aired in open court. Well, the only problem now is that the way people are looking at it from one point of view is that already, don't forget, there was that assault, in quote, on the judiciary even before this whole, even before the elections. So people are saying, what kind of tribunals are we expecting in terms of composition and the kind of people that will be there? And even then, when it finally gets to the Supreme Court, you know, what judges are going to be there, knowing what is going on in the judiciary. So these are all the things that will play out. But be that as it may, I think we can't second-guess anything, and everything has to go through the process. Yes, and I think it is good. So Nigerian jurisprudence will be better for this, and even our electoral laws.
There's that whole theoretical aspect. But Prof, you touched on the practical considerations of a sort of, yes, the time issue, which Yemi has corrected, but also the fact that we have no precedent of the apple carts being overturned at the presidential level. Only governorship, National Assembly, that happens.
There's always the first time.
So but what do you think,
I'm a lawyer.
Prof? What is the likelihood?
Let's begin with the issue of correcting what was wrong. Here in Nigeria, what is declared is quite different from what is done in practice. The laws, the provisions have always been there. Empirically, research has shown that at the end of the day, people stay in power for as long as the incumbent government of the day wants it. If you go to the case of Ondo State, for instance, what happened? When was an election organized? This caretaker committee is there. Is there any government ready to organize any local government election, for instance? Because the law says, okay, the states are now directly in charge of local government elections. The point I'm trying to say is not that I'm unaware of the new regulation, but the pointers, the dynamics to the February 23rd presidential elections are there, pointing to intention to rig. People have been talking about that. Now, when you take a critical look at the manifestations of the election, for instance, we can take the specific case of either Nasarawa and Imo State. In Imo State, the collation officer or the returning officer told us, when I say us, I mean the world, not just in Nigeria, because it was clearly shown that he was under duress. The first time he used the word pressure. I monitored, I saw this all night. Now, he said he had to read this election result as given under duress. Please, now, when we are now talking about going to court or not going to court, I now come to the issue of the international election observation missions. Now, impression had been given in their report that the election was free, was fair, was credible, even though the caveat was put that, well, there are some challenges here and there. But the truth is that day after day, we are being told about the excesses, of the election. You can't give an impression to the international community that it was free, fair, when the situational reality on the ground is pointing to the contrary. So this is the way one must begin to look at it. Now that anybody is going to court, in fact, I read the point of view of Tony Mama, a well-respected journalist and former minister, who believes that, look, for Atiku, who is his friend, as he says, going to court will only lead to, quote and unquote, oblivion. He's advocating, he's saying that, like Jonathan did, if he chooses to accept defeat, then the international community can begin to make use of Atiku as, one of the agents of United Nations going to mediate here and there, and so on and so forth.
Based on what?
I don't think that was the job Atiku ran for.
Jonathan started off as a consolation. But Jonathan was the president. So even that...
Maybe as a vice president.
And this time he will be considered as a president. So when you look at this type of argument, you will now see that, look, at the end of the day, there is the need, not simply because of having what actually transpired, either at the level of PDP or APC, but the mere fact that Nigeria has always been in trouble and is likely to remain in trouble for as long as we develop the culture of acquiescing to, all these problems. We behave like the panel beaters. We panel beat. No, everything should be uncovered. Whatever had gone wrong, please, the people of Nigeria must be told.
So are you saying that despite your concerns around time, you should go to court? Because I lost you in between there.
Yes,
you started off with concerns around how long it's going to take. So are you now saying you should still go to court?
That's where you got me wrong. That's why you said you were trying to correct. What I was saying is that the practice until now is the deliberate, the conscious effort to rig with the ultimate objective of saying we push you to court, go and argue the matter, while we continue with political governance, which can now take many, many years. That's what they do. That was what I was trying to say. So in this case, Atiku does not even have any right whatsoever to say he's not going to court. He does not have that right.
No, he does. He does. And
no,
he has exercised his right and he's even
his individual
team.
But it's actually right. His individual rights
are different from the people's mandate.
Yes. How do people know? I don't know about people's mandates, but his individual rights
let's not even start that people's mandate.
I didn't say
that people's mandate wahala was what happened to your dad. They should not bring that one in here. The man has his conviction and he has said and he has exercised. He has even inaugurated his legal team. Let us take it from there.
No, there are two options. The candidate can file or the party.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
so he has a right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That he can choose not to.
No, but we thank God himself and his party are on the same page on this. There's no ambiguity. There's no problem. So the process will begin.
So you don't think it's an exercise in futility?
No, certainly not. How can it be? Anything that has to do with the law cannot be said to be an exercise in futility.
Really? I actually disagree on that. There's some things that have to do with the law that definitely
I have so much belief in the Nigerian legal system and jurisprudence. Fine, if you take a hopeless case to court, definitely they would throw it out on so many grounds and all that. But I can assure you, we of course, that's what I'm saying.
So we're speaking broadly.
We're speaking broadly, and then we're speaking with respect to what we have before us. We also all the different angles to this election. I mean, I don't want to be a hypocrite or I don't want to be talking like a child. Rigging of elections did not start in Nigeria today. We all know that. So these things have always been there. Like they say in Nigerian parlance, it's always free and fair rigging. Whoever can outrig the other, right? Is that not supposed to? After we've been here, when the chieftains of political parties, I don't want to call their names, have been on national TV to say we rigged the election for X, Y, Z parties in the past. We saw that.
That period is not tenable.
Yes, fine. That's what I'm saying.
But I think we need to make a clear point around international observers.
Yes.
Because for me, that's
and test the law. Exactly. Test this whole matter.
That's a bit of concern. Because one of the things that PDP has done in terms of their propaganda is put out results that supposedly were international observers. There's no such one body called international observers.
Yes.
EU had its own mission. AU had its own mission. ECOWAS had its own mission. Commonwealth had its own mission. So there's no way.
Even enough had its own mission.
I'm not an international observer.
I've made you work.
There's no umbrella group called international observers. So to anyone watching, if you see any set of data that says international observers, there's no such thing.
Yes.
So any data you're looking at is fake.
Yes.
Now, having said that, the point that you raise is also quite the tricky bit about going like a legal action, because the bar for what is called substantial compliance is quite low.
It's extremely low.
So therefore, if your observers look at it and say, yeah, there might be issues. However, even if we factor all these issues, will the ultimate winner have changed? Yes. If they think not, then it's much safer. Look, let's be very clear about this thing. Nobody wants to deal with a Nigeria that's a mess.
That's right.
Or that's in crisis.
That's right.
Neither Nigeria can deal with it, neither the West African sub-region can deal with it, neither the world can deal with it.
I agree with you.
So if with substantial compliance, the outcome would not have changed, do we really blame them for saying, yeah, let's just say it's okay?
Yes.
That's their choice. Yes. However, as Nigerians, and as you said, the party, the candidate, do have a choice to challenge it.
No.
Okay.
Let me take your place first.
Okay.
I don't agree with you. We should talk about international election observers. We do have that one. There are 8. You have the Commonwealth.
But they're individual groups.
No, hold on. The concept, look, the word international as conceived in the 17th century by Joseph Bentham, a British philosopher, said international word is coined from inter and nation. And the word is normally used the moment you have the factors of either bilateralism, plurilateralism, trilateral, all those things, you have different states coming. The issue now is that what makes it international is that you have the Commonwealth group, you have the UN group, you have the ECOWAS, and they made joint statements.
And separate statements as well.
Not, yes,
Yes.
But they have a collective...
But you cannot have a result sheet, sir. Let's be clear about
No,
what
I'm not talking
but
about
that's what I
result
was
sheets.
talking about. So if you see a result sheet that says this is what international observe, I was very clear about the issue I was addressing.
Yeah, because
there's no such body.
Exactly.
Anyway, there's no such.
If you are talking about election results,
I was clear about what I was addressing. Oh yeah.
But ECOWAS, under Salim Johnson,
yes. Commonwealth is international.
with all
EU is
the
international.
member countries, they issue statements.
Of course.
In November, September, they've started all these plannings.
The EU has been here since January. They'll be here till April.
Yeah, January 2019. Those are the permanent.
Long-term
They have
observers.
short-term election observers, and you have the long-term.
Yeah.
Those long-term people arrived January 19. They have been in place. You see, the critical point there is that if you look at the wordings, all right, the reports...
But what do you want them to say? That it wasn't free, it wasn't fair, and Buhari didn't win? Well, let's be honest. What do you want them to say?
No, you are putting your arguments under the caveat of substantial compliance. All right. And immediately, the adjectival was in their reports that, well, there are some challenges. Some challenges that cover up, the critical problems associated with the elections.
That's right.
So they gave the impression to the whole international community by hiding under either...
One of the statements from, I think it was the EU, said, this is not the elections Nigerians wanted nor deserved. That's a quote. Yeah. So I'm saying, given what exactly were we expecting them to say?
So from the elections,
the act of observation consists of telling the truth as it is.
That's right.
But not diplomatizing it.
Yes.